When Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, I felt some genuine hope. After seeing what they did with Marvel and what they could do with Pirates of the Caribbean, I was like, you know what? There's a real possibility that childhood memories could be continued and some good movies could be made. Boy, was I wrong. Rian Johnson, this guy, was handed the reins of the sequel of The Force Awakens. And after the success of Force Awakens, most people felt like Star Wars could be in the right hands. Besides, you know, a few problems, such as, you know, Han's death and the fact that we never saw the 3 original characters, well, 4 including Chewie, or 6 including C-3PO and R2-D2, but we didn't get to see the 3 big ones, Han, Leia, and Luke, together in the same room. And that's a sin. But overall, most people were happy. I mean, how can you go and screw up something that was so successful like The Force Awakens? Cue Rian Johnson. Here's just a few things Rian Johnson did. Made Luke a complete loser, didn't have a lightsaber versus lightsaber fight in the entire movie, killed Snoke without any regard to the great mystery set up in The Force Awakens, the milk scene, the whole side story with Rose and Finn, and Rey's parents being a nobody. And my God, there's a lot more still. But before we even got to actually see the movie, there were some warning signs that should have told us that things weren't going to be exactly what we wanted to be. And besides, you know, hearing that literally echoed within the trailers, which is something Luke said, one of Luke's lines is, "This isn't going to go exactly as you think," or wherever it goes.
This is not going to go the way you think.
Warning number 1. The trailers. When the trailers started coming out, the hype got real. I mean, after The Force Awakens, there were so many theories, so many things that people were genuinely excited about because they felt a hope return with the new movie that just came out 2 years prior. The trailer looked great, looked like a big movie, looked like there was going to be some answers to what we wanted, but Rian Johnson reportedly was telling people, don't watch the trailer. And because he was saying the overhype and not getting exactly what you wanted might, you know, cause a little bit of an upset. And I'm all for not overhyping an experience and kind of just being in the moment and not kind of having too much information, just going into a movie almost blind and just being there for the movie. But something like this, that's not a good sign. Warning number 2. Mark Hamill. During the press for the movie, it was another big sign when Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, talks about the fact that he is not feeling very secure about what they've done to his character. And multiple interviews, he goes about this. He talks about this. He talks about how this wasn't his Luke Skywalker. This isn't the Luke Skywalker that we are used to seeing.
Did your vision and Ryan's vision, did it coincide with the way that Luke ends up in this film that you thought it would all these years later?
No.
No, not at all.
And you can see the depression on his face. And that soon translated to the depression of what everybody else felt about how they just like did Luke Skywalker wrong. A character that has been around since the 70s, was respected, built up, had lore around him, and one movie just showed complete disrespect towards this character, which turned into complete disrespect towards the franchise, which caused, you know, viewers and fans to have less respect and less respect and less respect towards the company that was making these movies. With just warning number 2, we should have known that Disney was about to screw it all up. Screw it up bad. Warning number 3, the Rian Johnson trilogy. It can be a bad sign when studios, directors, creatives are already patting themselves on the back before the movie is even out, before they even show it to the public. And this is exactly what they did with Rian Johnson. Disney just rolled out the red carpet for him. So before the movie even hit the big screen, Disney felt like they had, I guess, another George Lucas on their hands. And so they just gave Rian Johnson his own trilogy to lay out. And they even asked him to direct the first movie in this trilogy. And really, talk about putting all your chips in betting on something. By putting all their hope in one creative guy, they killed one of the biggest franchises of all time. I want to take this brief moment to thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, giving the video a like, maybe. No pressure, of course. Don't want to be one of those guys. But I did dress up in a suit for you, so think about it. Doubling down. After a dismay of a large portion of Star Wars fans, Disney and Rian Johnson decided to double down on how great they thought the movie was and how wrong the rest of us were. That's a bad move, especially when you're messing with a universe that has so much built out and so much built out lore and so much respect. And there was some unfortunate bullying of the actress that played Rose. But that wasn't her fault. The character sucked because it was written badly. And she was also written into the worst subplot in all of Star Wars history. But then back to just the fans, there was a lot of stuff thrown at the fans with all the hate that was thrown towards The Last Jedi, such as a lot of fans being sexist and that they're unable to move away from a familiar formula that has been written into Star Wars movies already. And I don't believe that's a thing. I don't believe that a large portion of Star Wars fans is sexist, because in all honesty, I don't care if the lead is a female. Write a good character and they will be loved. It's as simple as that. Despite the backlash from the fans, the movie making a lot less than The Force Awakens, and the drop-off in interest among viewers, the movie somehow holds a 91% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And Rian Johnson's trilogy has never officially been canceled during all of this. The sad aftermath. The aftermath of the Last Jedi debacle, as we'll call it, has left a big hole within this big universe of movies, books, toys, and even comic books. And here's a list of just some of the things that has happened. The Han Solo movie failed. Interest in Disney Plus's live-action Star Wars series is seriously waning despite the great takeoff of The Mandalorian. Action figures go unsold, and even the actors don't want to come back to Star Wars. And to put the cherry on top, Disney has even made back their money from the deal with George Lucas. The whole franchise that they bought and have put all this money into, theming, theme parks, toys, movies, hasn't even got their money back. And not to mention Disney World's Star Wars Hotel and how badly that crashed and burned. And that's just a further showing of Disney's mishandling of such a creative IP. And then lastly, the aftermath of it that had to do with the trilogy of movies is they decided to bring back J.J. Abrams, which honestly, they should have just kept J.J. Abrams in all 3 of the films instead of trying to be creative enough to be like, we're going to have a different director for each movie. Which is fine, but sometimes you want a solid thread of an idea going through all these movies. And that was part of their damage control. And that's despite his best efforts, J.J. Abrams. Because honestly, I think J.J. Abrams is a great director. But all that movie was, The Rise of Skywalker, was a damage control movie trying to fix the events that happened in The Last Jedi. And even though it was better than The Last Jedi, you can't focus a whole movie on damage control. Because you already spent all this time before doubling down. So if people go to this one and don't feel great about it, you're gonna triple down about how people are wrong. What Rian Johnson did to Star Wars has left the IP in some serious doubt. Fans aren't excited for new material, and more importantly, they don't want the same people handling and heading the rest of Star Wars' future projects. Kathleen Kennedy has a big hand in all this, and some of the best Star Wars moments of the last years have come from directors Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and less involvement of Kathleen Kennedy. So yeah, thanks Rian Johnson. You killed one of the biggest sci-fi franchises of all time.